October the 3rd. This is the pre-agenda meeting for the month of October for the Town of Spencer Board of Aldermen. We are officially called to order with all of our board members present this evening. We will first begin with an invocation, if you will, bow your heads. Father God, we come to you tonight thanking you for all that you have given to us, all that you blessed our town with, and especially the blessing of the staff that you have put at this town and the commitment that they have not only to our town, but for doing for others, especially in a time of need. We ask that you protect and guide them, those that have traveled to Western North Carolina to help lend a hand and support those in need. We ask that you be with those in need and help to ease their pain and the devastation that's been done in the wake of Hurricane Helene. Thank you for this board and those that sit beside me. Thank you for all of our staff and the citizens that live here in Spencer. Amen. Amen. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, good evening, board. We have a couple items on our agenda. The first, we're going to receive a presentation on our group insurance renewal rates for 2024 and 2025. And with that, I'm going to invite Lee Snow forward, and he is going to present on our insurance renewal.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I passed this out, and what I wanted to go over is the renewal this year. I feel like was not a bad renewal. Remember, you guys are on a grandfathered plan, so it's not an Affordable Care Act plan. It's an older grandfathered plan. You'll see in a minute. I'll show you some things to explain why. Remember, we have what we call a hybrid plan, which is a higher deductible plan, and then the town actually cost shares and takes on the lion's share of that higher deductible to where your employees max out of pocket is $2,600. So it's a very, very good plan. I think we've talked over the years that I think the reason you have employee benefits is to keep employees and to attract employees, and I think this is definitely doing its job for that. But the renewal this year was an increase of 3.3%. You had there's a grid that shows how Blue Cross comes up with that. It did not put that in your packet, but how that breaks down is aging of employees was a minus 1.4%. So, you've got some older people who are retiring or, maybe just natural turnover, and you're hiring younger people. So your average age is actually going down, which is helpful. So that gets 1.4%. Trend, which is this medical inflation. The cost of things are going up. The cost of drugs are going up. The cost of doctor visits, that sort of thing. Trend is 7.3%. Change in other factors, which Blue Cross can't really tell me what that is. I think it's a manual adjustment they can make if they want to. If they want to help you out a little bit, they can. If they want to push you out the door, they can hit you hard. But that's a negative 2.4% to get to the 3.3%. So you're half of what medical trend is right now. So not a bad renewal. If you'll turn over to the next page, so we're going from 333, or let me go back. Let me go to this first, and this is not in your book, but I just found it interesting, and Peter and I were talking about it when I met with him. I have all the renewals here for the last 20 years that we've been on this plan, and I think we've been on it longer than that. This is as far back as I could find. So in 2013, you guys were paying for employee only cost $319.90 in 2013. So over the years, that creeped up. In 2018, it had creeped up to $458.76. 2019, we had a minus 5.6%. 2020, we had a minus 1.7%. 21, we had a minus 5.3%. 22, we had a minus 18.6%. In 2022, your employee-only rate was $323.96. $4 different than what you were paying in 2013. 2023, we had an increase of 4.5%, which was right at what trend was last year. This year, we had the 3.3% to get you at $340.76. So my point is, I don't know many groups that I have that are paying today, which today you're paying within about $13 of, but you know, what we're going to for next year for 24 and 25, you're going to be within $21 per employee only what you were paying for your employees in 2013. That's why we encouraged you to always stay on that grandfathered plan. I assure you that has not happened to the people who are on the ACA plans. To give you some idea what the ACA plans look like, if you'll turn over to the next page, the Blue Cross, the very first column there, the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Platinum Plan is a $1,000 deductible, 90/10 co-insurance, $3,000 max out of pocket. That is the closest thing to what you're providing your employees after the hybrid plan. You're at a $2,600 max out of pocket. This plan's at a $3,000 max out of pocket. So this is the closest plan to what you're providing your employees. And that is $860 per employee per month. So that's ACA plan. We did quote United Healthcare as well, and you can see that. And their very best plan with a $1,000 deductible you see is cheaper than Blue, but if you'll look back up about midways, individual out-of-pocket max is $6,000. That's why it's cheaper than the Blue. Then if you'll turn over to the next page, it's got the red and the yellow. If you'll look in the center section where it says currently you guys are paying $23,000, and we had to average this for the 12 months, so you know you might be an employee or two off, and that changed month to month. But on average, you're paying $23,250.82, or $279,000 for the year. When we do the hybrid plan, we have a company called Innovative Employee Benefits that administers the debit card that everybody has with the $1,000 on it. They administer reimbursing part of that $10,000 to them. For their services of administration, it's $7,661.33. If you see where it says bucket one, that is every employee you have has a debit card with $1,000 loaded on it that comes out of Spencer's account for their care. Year to date, that's been $9,857.80 has been used in that. Bucket number 3 is where you guys do 80/20. So the first 1,000 is on the debit card. The next 1,000 is their deductibles here. You as the town pay the first $1,000. The next $1,000 the employee pays. And in bucket 3, the town pays 80% and the employee pays 20%. So in bucket 3, you guys have reimbursed $27,988.03. So that's $45,557. There is one person got reimbursed. You do have a drug reimbursement. If somebody pays more than $100, you reimburse them that. We only had one person do that this year. So you're at $45,000. So all in year to date, but we're counting the December premium, is $324,567. Well, we can't predict the future, so we don't know what next year holds as far as claims. But if we just apply the same, if we say we think it's going to be pretty close to the same as what it was this year, then if you look to the right, we're saying the annual premium is going up from $279 to $288. Then if we're paying out roughly the same claims, or we're saying exactly the same claims, that's not what it's going to wind up being, but let's say it does, then you're at $333. If you look all the way over on the far left, the $639,000, you can look back to the second Blue Cross and Blue Shield that I showed you, which is the ACA plan, $1,000 deductible, co-insurance, and the $3,000 max out of pocket. So if you said, I don't want the grandfather plan anymore, I want to go to an ACA plan, that's what it would cost the town to provide your employees with the same benefit. So what we're saying is to stay on the grandfather plan, to reimburse employees like you have in the different buckets, it saved the town last year $305,000. Any questions? I'll be glad to. As long as the federal government allows you to keep a grandfather plan and Blue Cross and Blue Shield is willing to keep the grandfather plan on their books, because United Healthcare chose not to. They did have grandfather plans for 2 years when the ACA came out in 2010. And they said, we're not doing that anymore. Everything has to go to ACA. I was just at a Blue meeting Tuesday, and I asked Roy Watson, who's one of the higher ups there again, because I do every time I see him, are you going to continue to provide the grandfather plans for us? Because it means a lot to a lot of our customers to be able to keep them. And he assured me that it was profitable business for Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and they had no intention of ever doing away with a grandfather plan as long as the federal government allowed it. And I don't see that honestly changing anytime soon either. So I think for the time being, everything's good. We'll stay on that plan.
Okay. Board, any questions for Mr. Smith? As always, great work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for
We
good
appreciate your
news. We
business.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Board, we'll move to our next item, which is to consider authorizing the town manager to finalize and execute an agreement for the 2nd Street Stormwater Repair Project. I know lots of folks are ready for us to get that repaired. And of course, we had the issue, was it last week or the week before?
It was last week prior to the arrival of the tropical weather.
I feel like I'm in a time warp.
Yep.
So Mr. Francis, you want to review this with the board and bring us up to speed?
Sure, and I'll invite Joel Taylor to come up as well. We have been working over the past year to get this project figured out. Joel had gotten some prices last year, and we determined this was something we were going to need the budget for and not be able to immediately handle. And it was, up until last week, a reasonably small hole, but the road, that block of 2nd Street, has been closed out of safety, knowing what was happening underneath with the failure of a very old storm pipe and the undermining of the soils, etc. that's happening. Just for reference, this pipe, if you can imagine the park there along Rowan Avenue at 2nd Street, there's a big tree there kind of at the bottom of the terrain, and there's a pipe that ends there that starts probably 200 feet going back this way under the 2nd Street in the middle of several houses. And so it goes, again, about 200 feet from one to the other, and the pipe's 15 feet below the ground, which was not known at first, I guess, how deep it was until things started happening. But that led to a very expensive repair and the need to try to figure it out. We did put it in the budget for the current year in the PAL bill fund. Now, we've talked about whether there's opportunities to find other funding sources instead of using the PAL bill. but we haven't been successful in identifying those. And then in the meantime, things started last week getting worse quickly, which then revealed the sewer issue that was taking place. And Joel, at this point, maybe you'd like to jump in and go from there and our plans going forward.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor, members of the board. So yes, I included some pictures in there from when it first started to what it is now. And the last picture looks really, really bad, but a lot of that was because of the sewer line failure. They had to take out the rest of the road to fix the sewer line. So over half of that hole was actually dug, not washed out. If that makes sense. I just didn't want people to think differently. But yes, things have developed over the last week, especially with the storm. We knew the storm was coming, so we were trying to get it to where it was. But the thunderstorm the day before is what actually caused the problem. We have no idea why the pipe completely failed, but it did. Water started backing up between the houses. Luckily, it didn't have any issues with the houses. It stayed far enough away. Thank goodness for the fire department and helping me out pumping a lot of water. About 500,000 gallons is what we pumped that day. Wow. So, and it's down, and it will continue to stay down unless we get a flash thunderstorm or something like that, where it just will not take it, because that valley takes everything from 4th Street. Everything from 4th Street down comes right into that one spot, and especially our new drainage that we put in on 4th Street feeds that line. So may have been a culprit to make it show its face. I don't know, but either way, it's to the point now that we have to fix it. We can't wait any longer. The contractor, the estimate that's in here is his old estimate. He's still trying to locate new prices because construction stuff changes every day. He did not think that the boxes would be that much more expensive. Talking to his vendor, about a 2-week lay time to get them. So he has already placed an order for the special boxes. They've already been ordered. That way we don't wait any longer. We're looking at a 2 to 3 week turnaround to try to get this done, just to get parts, pieces. I mean, his work won't take that long, but to get his parts in wheel. So we're trying to put something in place. He may put a temporary drain in just to get, to jump. I don't know, depending on how much rain we're looking like in the forecast. But in this estimate, everything will stay basically the same, except for the fact the sewer replacement can come out. It will not be in there because it's already been done. There may be a lengthening if it just depends on where that pipe is. We're not sure exactly how it goes under the road. We may have to lengthen it, but it won't be near what's in here for the sewer pipe restoration. Salisbury Rowan took care of that for us. So thanks to them for that night, getting over there quickly and getting it taken care of. The other is the paving. We're only going to pave from where he has to trench, probably to Rowan Avenue, because that'll be his lay down spot, and that road is all the pieces right there anyway. So anytime he turns the track over there, it's going to tear it up. And the asphalt's about that thick, if that, and a stone base about like this. So anything from there that he tears up, we'll keep it on the Rowan side, and then the other side, so we don't have to inconvenience that house in there. That will be it, but there will be a lot of the paving taken out because we're so late in the year, probably won't be able to get it paved anyway. And then we'll just schedule that road to complete pave it whenever we do our next scheduling. And with that, should leave enough money in what we've budgeted to take care of the other problem on 2nd Street, which is the 2 catch basins. That's a pretty simple, easy fix. So we just kind of flip-flop these two where we're going to do the big one first, not to run the risk of putting water in somebody's house and get that road back open for everybody. So is there any questions?
I just wanted to make a comment to that, Mr. Teller, and appreciate you expounding upon it, because some residents that live within the area of 2nd Street have been concerned about the sinkhole and how terrible and dangerous the road has been. Mm-hmm. And also too, I believe there was some road work that needs to be completed on 4th Street that they were concerned about, and then also the 900th block of South Spencer Avenue. They were saying that it was a little bit dangerous there too. And I just wanted to bring that to your attention as well to possibly address, but I know that some of the residents within the town are concerned about those being repaired, and I'm glad that you did address the sinkhole issue, and hopefully on Thursday, you may be able to, on Tuesday, you'll be able to expound on that a little bit if residents are present.
Okay,
So that they are aware that things are being rectified.
I think it's important too, that as we talk through that, to kind of talk through the plan, not only for getting this situation, but that we do have a plan for all these other items, right? When we're gonna pave those other, because that has been a question. Remind the board again, besides that, the catch basin issues, and obviously our 17th Street project that's going on, other significant stormwater issues that we have around town, are there any others that we know of?
None at this point. Not
just the catch basin.
Right, none to the point of an actual failure. Now, we've got an aging system, and one storm can, as you've seen in western North Carolina, one storm can pretty much throw all that out the window. But we have an aging system. We have other areas that during the storm they do flood, Charles Street being one, but it's a simple.
But no known like failing culverts or inlets?
No, sir. Okay. Not that I'm aware.
So, and board, keep in mind, one of the things we started doing recently within the past few years is developing that infrastructure contingency fund, right? For things just like this. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to build that up enough to be able to easily cover things like this. So, but the goal is long term that as we put money away for that contingency fund, when things like this come up, that they really aren't a budgetary impact. We're able to use that funding and then continue to replace that every time. And the other thing with the system, the stormwater system, yes, it's aging. We're getting that inventory on it that Hazen and Sawyer is doing for us, our consultant. So we're going to have a better idea of what is out there, and we can better predict those areas that are likely to fail sooner rather than later.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I got a question. Financially, PAL grant's gonna chip in how much money?
All of this will be covered under the PAL bill.
So it all be taken care of?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I didn't know if we had money budgeted in this last budget.
We budgeted, but it's out of the, and I think I'm right about this, all of that money was budgeted because it is a street repair and it's an existing system. We're not adding it.
Okay.
All the money was budgeted in the PAL bill.
Okay.
So the PAL bill money will be taken care of.
The thing that our citizens need to be aware of is that does push back our paving, right?
Mm-hmm.
So where we were gonna pave this year, now that's gonna have to be pushed off until the next.
Right, until we build up a little bit more.
And if I may, so we had a paving contract a year ago that was combining a few years worth of paving. So we are in the mode where we were probably going to need to combine this year, next year to do another paving round, probably about this time next year, in other words. So this project at the time of the budget was what we had in mind, for the significant use of the funds for this year.
Any other questions? Okay.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you, Taylor.
So with that, board, we are looking tonight for a motion to authorize the town manager to finalize and execute the agreement for the stormwater repair project, so we can get that repair underway.
Make a motion that we approve town manager to approve this work to be done.
All right.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Miller, second by Mr. Muhammad. Any further discussion? All in favor? All right, all opposed, and that's approved unanimously. The next item is to consider adopting Resolution 24-15 to ratify the 2023 revision, the statewide mutual aid agreement authorizing town staff to execute the agreement. Mr. Franzese.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the board. As you know, we have staff from our organization out west helping and in various ways. And they're actually not being deployed through anything that would necessitate this particular agreement, but we realized as things had progressed over last week that we do not have a current version of this in our records that we could find. I think we found one from 2015, and this statewide mutual aid agreement has been updated a few times since then, so we wanted to put this before you. And of course, the benefit is twofold. One, should we be activated through the emergency management process from the state, it's what allows us to have reimbursements done. I should say, like for our fire crew, they are currently being activated through the State Office of Fire Marshal, which has a bit of a different, same idea, but it's a different type of process that doesn't go through this agreement for reimbursement. So they are keeping track of every expense, whether that be time, resources, fuel, use of equipment, et cetera, and we will have all those expenses being incurred to aid in Mitchell County reimbursed. The other part of the benefit of this mutual aid agreement, of course, is should something happen here and we need help, we want to be on the receiving end of mutual aid, right? So, you know, every county and I think 3/4 of all municipalities are signatories to this agreement. It's a form of good business for us to make sure we're current on that. So we wanted to put this before you this evening to adopt a resolution ratifying such, and then allowing staff to execute the updated agreement.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Princey. Support, any questions on the resolution that is in your packet?
So, when the state, if we were doing this under the state of emergency, FEMA would be paying for the staff people we have out there working now. Is that correct?
And I believe that's going to be happening anyhow, but there is a separate type of mobilization that's happened right now for the fire service that essentially our crews right now are out west because the volunteer fire departments there have been working without a break for a week and need relief. And so through the state fire marshal's office, they're bringing in the resources that I think will wind up with FEMA reimbursements, but it's just a different process than this broader statewide mutual aid agreement.
So a great example would be if we've got materials or things like that like Public Works might be able to offer and you can take up there. If the state's issued in a certain area a state of emergency through the state emergency management, they're going to seek reimbursement through FEMA that then will be funneled back to us then for our time and materials or anything like that.
Right. One question that and I'm fully in support of this, because I think, you know, there's no way in the world that we don't want to offer our support or be able to ask for support if we were to need it. I've heard about areas in Mecklenburg County that are not covered under the state of emergency, but they have the other side of the river is in the county, is a county that has coverage. So how does something like that work? I mean, we can't, would we send people to a place that was not considered under a state of emergency?
If the way that this would work is if there was a local county that needed resources beyond their control, that's when they start working at the state level to bring resources in, and that's when this comes into place. So whatever issues may be happening in, say, Mecklenburg County, they've determined that they have the local resources to handle it. Those states of emergency are when you have a level of government who are looking for help from a level above, whether it be state or federal. And so I suspect, you know, in the case of Mecklenburg County, they at this point have the resources they need locally to deal with the situation they have.
So similarly, if something happens to a neighbor of ours in Rowan County,
Right.
this may not apply.
Right.
We're still going to go help them out.
Certainly. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely,
Okay.
as we should.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions? And if not, we'll entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 24-15 to ratify the 2023 provision.
I move to adopt this resolution.
Okay, so motion by Ms. Sledge,
Second.
second by Ms. Moody. All in favor? All right, all opposed? That is approved unanimously. All right. We'll move now to review of our October 8th meeting agenda. I do need a volunteer for the invocation for that meeting. Mr. Muhammad would like to. Thank you again. Appreciate it.
You want to do it?
I'll do it.
Oh, okay. Mr.
Give
Miller.
you a break. How about that? Give you a break. You've done it the last couple of
I don't mind.
times. I don't mind either.
Appreciate
I'll
it.
take it.
So who's fighting over it?
All right,
Come in
so
peace.
Mr. Miller it is this month.
Okay.
All right, and then we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll have an opportunity for any additional additions or deletions to the agenda and adoption of the agenda. And then we'll move to recognitions. Are there any recognitions that we need to make? I know one recognition we definitely will need to make is for our staff and the community that's brought all the supplies together, for our fire department folks that are up there assisting, and then our police department that's helped gather those supplies and taking those up there. Is there somebody that wants to make that recognition?
I can do that.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sledge. Any other recognitions for the meeting?
I want to recognize the Community Pets Mobile Vet Clinic that we were working with today, and we will work with again this month.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Moody. Anything else?
Do we need to say anything about our folks who were participating in the Race to the River or the Creek Week? Or have we done that already?
We can. I think actually, and definitely it's worth recognition of our staff that came together to make that happen as well. So just so you know, I will be out of town next week. So
Congratulations.
don't act excited.
Wow.
I'm actually out of town for work next week.
Right when we need you.
So, Peter, is that something you could do?
I'm happy to do that.
Thank you. All right, anything else?
Mr. Mayor, I have a thought, and maybe it's a bit premature. I don't know the young man, and I say young man because I'm not old enough to say young man. But the quarterback for North, I believe, almost certainly after tomorrow night will be the county passing leader.
Yep.
Based on his averages, that may be perhaps maybe wait till next month, but it may be assuming his averages hold, he will shatter it tomorrow night. And so perhaps we should recognize him as well.
I would recommend that we plan to do that at the end of the season. I think that'd be a great opportunity. We may have some other folks on that team to recognize.
Yeah.
Too. Let's do it.
That'd be fun. That'd be good.
That's a
You know,
great suggestion.
he's the son of Mr. Alford that we recognize. You know, yeah.
Yes.
He's got 3 sons, and they're all good students and very athletic.
All right. Anything else?
Folks who help with National Night Out.
So,
That would be good.
you know,
Who wants to do that? Miss Moody should
Miss
do
Moody.
that.
I don't mind. Yep, I'll do that one. That'd be great.
say no to that.
All right, great. Lots of good stuff happening. All right, we'll have public comment and then our consent agenda. Right now, we've got 4 items on the consent agenda: approval of our September meeting minutes, and then approval of the group insurance renewal rates. The presentation we heard from Mr. Snow tonight, and then consideration of adopting a budget ordinance amendment that appropriates a little less than $4,000 to the fire vehicle maintenance expense account. That information is in your packet. And then an award of a historic preservation and incentive grant of $2,000 to John Haddock. And of course, as we go through this tonight, if there's anything we need to take off the consent agenda and move to regular items, or anything that we need to take from the regular agenda and move it to the consent agenda for Tuesday, we can. And so with that, item 8 would be to consider awarding a historic preservation incentive grant of $2,000 to Caroline Green. And I guess my only question is going to be, we've got one that we're showing in our consent agenda and one that we're not. So you want to speak to that?
Yes, the one that's on the consent agenda is being recommended by the Community Appearance Commission really with no reservations or concerns or any unusual circumstances. The item number 8 that is not on the consent agenda is a bit of a unique situation that we wanted to be able to talk through with the board. Kyle is here tonight, and if you would like him to, he can talk about it, or we can wait till Tuesday.
Well, is Kyle going to be here on Tuesday?
Yes.
Okay. I would recommend that we talk about it then at our regular meeting. Okay. All right.
Yes.
Thank you. We'll then have our departmental reports and our town manager report, and then requests and comments from mayor and board. So it's a relatively light agenda for Tuesday. You're welcome. It's not that bad. All right. Anything else, board, that needs to be on the agenda for next week?
Mr. Mayor, I don't know that this is anything to be on the agenda, but I would like to make a recommendation as far as the printed reports for code enforcement.
Yeah.
That lovely green background is nice, but you can't
Yeah.
read it, and
Right.
so
Yeah.
it either needs to be screened down to a screen version or left white.
Yeah.
So,
I would agree. So,
and it also would save a bunch of ink.
yes, absolutely. All right. So I'm sure staff will take that into consideration, and hopefully, if possible, if they can get new copies for next week. So
Well,
we'll take care of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think there may be a typo on the page about the life A, D, and D insurance, because it makes reference to Fisher Athletic Equipment.
Okay.
So I think it's just a typo. It needs to be corrected.
Any other items or anything specifically on the departmental reports that staff need to be aware of to prepare for next Tuesday?
Mr. Blunt was boring this time.
Disappointed.
All right. Well, board, that is all that we have this evening, unless there's a need to go into executive.